Hello there. We're Rachel and Megan. For those of you who haven't heard us speak before, we're community pharmacists and we've been practicing for 4 years now. And we see that medicine has a very important place in healthcare, but we also see that there are other lifestyle options and that leads to long-lived sustainable health. And we're sharing some ideas on that through these health talks. And today the topic that we're digging into is skin health and how important it is to keep our skin strong and resilient. And when we think of skin health, we often think about cosmetics and beauty and makeup, but skin health is very important and it is something to be taken quite seriously. It's our first line of defense, so it protects our bodies against pathogens like bacteria and viruses, and it's the barrier between our bodies and the environment. So if our skin is broken or damaged, then that line of defense is compromised, and that's something that we should all think about. Another point about the skin is that skin cells shed. So we're always shedding skin cells, about 30,000 a day. And a mistake that a lot of us make is when we look at our skin in the mirror, look at our face in the mirror, it might look perfect, it might be great. So we might say our skin's great, so we don't really bother much with it. But because our skin sheds so quickly, the layers underneath that might not be so perfect. So it's important not to be, I suppose, and I'm terrible for that, to be kind of dragged into this false sense of security, thinking that your skin is now okay and will be okay all the time. It's really important to protect your future self and to look after your skin now. It is so much easier to prevent skin problems than it is to treat skin problems. So we're really going to focus in on that today, how to prevent any skin problems and how to keep it healthy from the get-go. So I'm going to start today talking about a skin routine. And I really think that when you're organizing a skin routine, it is important to make it very simple and streamline it and make it realistic for you. So it has to work for you. If you have a really elaborate skin routine and set yourself these, kind of maybe unrealistic goals about your skin, you risk just giving up and not doing any skincare at all. So I'm not massive on makeup or I'm not a big cosmetics guru. I'm really coming at this as a healthcare professional, from a healthcare professional perspective. So the minimum that I would recommend everybody to do when it comes to looking after their skin is to, number one, cleanse at least once a day with a cleanser. Number two, moisturize twice daily. And number three, exfoliate at least once a week. Now, if you're better at looking after your skin than I am, by all means, go for more than that. But for those of you that just need to establish some kind of a skin routine, that would be the minimum that I would advise to go on. So also, by the way, when I'm talking about skincare, I'm mainly talking about your face and your neck. And don't forget your neck when you are doing all that moisturizing and cleansing. People often forget about their neck, because that is the skin that is exposed to the elements, exposed to wind and rain and cold and heat. So that they're the kind of most, I suppose, sensitive parts of the skin that we want to kind of look after the most. Now, I'm not going to say which products we should or shouldn't buy. It depends on the person. It depends on the skin type. It depends on how much money they're willing to pay on their skincare. But definitely natural, unperfumed, unscented products are without a doubt the best. Now, I may reference La Roche-Posay or Vichy today. They're the brands that we stock in our pharmacy, and these ranges are really, really good for sensitive, atopic skin prone to redness. I do recommend those ones. So let's start with the cleansing. So cleanse at least once a day with a good, gentle cleanser. You can twice a day, especially sometimes with people with acne, you would see that the doctors might recommend, or dermatologists might recommend, to cleanse twice a day. But for most of us, if we have healthy skin, cleansing once a day with a cleanser is fine. So if you, like, say for me, every night I would cleanse properly, take off my makeup with my cleanser, and then the next morning I just give my face a pretty basic clean with a face cloth, because I don't like to strip all the natural moisturizing factors from my skin. So I think cleansing once a day properly, thoroughly, is plenty. So that is the cleansing. Always cleanse with lukewarm water, so not too hot and not too cold. Then the moisturizing. So moisturize at least twice a day. So a lot of people will have a morning cream and a night cream, and if you can afford it, it's not completely necessary, but if you can, I would, because a lot of the morning creams will have an SPF in them, which is really important for protecting our skin against the sun. And although it might seem at the minute there's absolutely no need for that in Ireland, there is. So even in cloudy days, protecting our skin against the sun is important. So the morning ones with an SPF, and when you are choosing a moisturizer, always try and find someone in the pharmacy that is very knowledgeable on skin, because there are people that have so much knowledge on skin working in pharmacies. I know in our pharmacy we have a lady that's just I go to her for everything. She knows everything there is. She's so passionate about it. So ask them, can you get me a moisturizer with an SPF in it? And then the night creams often have different, and a lot of night creams have vitamin C in it. Vitamin C brightens up your skin. So that works on your skin throughout the night, that when you wake up in the morning, it makes you look a little bit more youthful and more vibrant. So they'd be your night creams. So a morning cream and a night cream, if you can, twice a day. Always use one that suits your skin type as well. So there are loads. It can be a minefield sometimes. You're looking at them all, and especially sometimes when I'm looking at Roche Posay and Vichy, it's in French, so it's really hard. So trust. There are people that know everything about skin type. So get somebody and ask them, and just give yourself time. A lot of them are willing, especially in Boots and these places. They'll do a full kind of consultation with you. Get a consultation, and then you'll know from then on which ones to get. So you can get one especially for oily skin, especially for dry skin. A lot of the ones that are for dry skin are full of hyaluronic acid, which really gets that moisture and locks it into your skin. And then there's ones for combination skins as well. Then of course there is the anti-aging moisturizers, and people often ask which age to start using the anti-aging moisturizers. Well, it really depends. I've already started using an anti-aging moisturizer. Some girls in their 20s like to start quite young, because they might see lines appearing quite young. People can get their lines and their wrinkles at all sorts of different ages. But they do actually recommend to start using in your 20s anti-aging creams if you can. That's just a personal choice. And a lot of the anti-aging creams will have things like coenzyme Q10 in them, which helps to rebuild collagen and everything, which starts to kind of decrease in your skin as you get a bit older. So they're the moisturizers now. So that's our cleanser and our moisturizers. You can, again, be a bit more elaborate. You can get a lot of different serums, which is really good for giving your skin that really lovely dewy look if you wanted to invest a bit more. If you're prone to maybe tired eyes, wrinkles around the eyes, or even sensitivity around the eyes, I would say, especially at the moment when we're wearing masks, people's eyes underneath their eyes are a bit more sensitive. You can invest in an eye cream. And then also masks. People do like to sometimes get masks, and you can get really good face masks that again lock all that moisture into your skin. You can get a lot of creams have different types of like minerals in them. So like I said, you can get creams with vitamin C, creams with rannose is a big one as well, that emulsifies your skin, peptides as well to kind of firm up your skin. There's loads and loads of options. So just, I would say, go in, have a good consultation, pick one for you, and it'll do you hopefully for years. Just keep getting the same one. I always think that if you get something that works for you, to stick with it and keep going with that one. So that's the moisturizing. So cleansing and moisturizing, and then I said about exfoliating at least once a week. This is where I used to fall down on. So what I would say is, some people like to exfoliate more, but they would say at least once a week. I like to choose, and this is a nice idea, I think, to choose a kind of self-care, self-grooming evening. And that's when I will do all that. I'll do my exfoliation that evening, so on a Friday evening or whatever. Again, lukewarm water, not too hot, not too cold, and use a sponge and scrub your face and your neck. And this is really important because it gets rid of all the dead skin cells, so that all the healthy cells are on the surface. So that is it. After you exfoliate, always moisturize. Now, it can also be nice after exfoliating to do a mask and make that a part of your self-care night, to put your mask on after exfoliating. And doing a face mask doesn't have to be expensive. Actually, there's a few of the Vichy moisturizers that work as a mask as well as a moisturizer. So all you do is you put a thicker layer of the moisturizer on, and then it's a mask. So it does for everything. I'm very disorganized, so I like to have as few products as I can to streamline it as much as I can and be as minimalistic as possible. So that is fine. And also, as part of your weekly skincare routine, I would just mention to remember to, if you're using makeup brushes or sponges, to make sure you clean them, because obviously, especially at times when people have maybe cold sores, or if they have little sores around their nose or their eyes, and that can be exuding bacteria, it can be pus, all sorts of things, and you're spreading that around your face. Of course, that's going to cause spots and infection and all kinds of things. So just to be really, really careful about cleaning your brushes at least once a week. And if there's any kind of little infection there, even more, or even avoid putting makeup on altogether. So just to be really, really careful about that. They say to you can get special makeup brush and sponge cleansers, or you can just use a mild soap, and you again use lukewarm water, and then you let it air dry with the bristles, I'm told, off the counter. So don't just leave it flat on the table, because apparently the bristles lose their shape, the brush loses its shape. So you're supposed to have the bristles off the table so that it's just airing literally out in the air. So that is that. And just I'd like to just mention one thing as well about ladies who shave. So if you're shaving your legs or under your arms or wherever, just to always moisturize after shaving, because when we don't, the skin can get very brittle and very broken and damaged. So just to always remember to moisturize after shaving, because when we're shaving, we're again stripping a lot of the natural moisturizing factors from our skin, and we need to replace them. So that's everything about a skin routine. Megan's now going to talk to us about, I'm talking there about treating our skin from the outside in with our creams and all that kind of thing. Megan's now going to talk to us about looking after our skin from the inside out with food and water.
Thanks, Rachel. I love all that. And I love what you said about having a streamlined routine that's sustainable. And like that, you know, you're better off to do the exfoliating once a week than just trying to do it every day sporadically. It's just the consistency of it. So I really like that. And yeah, so now we're going inside out. And when you think about the skin and all the layers, like both are needed, the holistic approach. So the skin on the outside, you're minding it, but also as the new cells are produced and pushed out to the outside, you're giving them the best chance and the best health. And it's all about what we eat. So we're going to look at that, you know, and they often say, everyone always says, you know, you are what you eat. And I think it's just sort of nearly a catchphrase thrown around. But when you dig down to the science behind that, it's very grounded. When you think about your cells regenerating, you know, we're giving them the raw materials, and that has to impact. So the quality of the food we're eating influences the quality of the cells, including the skin cells, which we're going to talk about. So we're going to look at enhancing or eating well to enhance skin health specifically, and nourishing those skin cells, eating the correct balance of foods. And we're going to look at some of the vital nutrients that particularly benefits the skin to keep it soft, supple, and blemish free, and to help any blemishes heal. So as Rachel mentioned, it's an from inside out and outside in. So holistic approach, this, as you mentioned, the sunlight, have a good SPF, and protect your skin from harsh soaps and chemicals, all of that, like to be really mindful of that, wear gloves if you're using chemicals, etc. And then from the inside out, you want to watch the nutrition. So what you're looking at, surprise, surprise, is a lot of fruit and vegetables, antioxidant rich foods, which is those groups, and some healthy fats, again, for the supple skin and to help it be moisturized. So we want a variety and a balanced diet. So we're going to look at a few top tips for nutrition. And again, it has to also suit your health needs as well. But we're going to look at some general groups of foods that are particularly good for skin health. So the first one on the fruit and veg in general, they recommend at least 5 portions a day, particularly a lot of vegetables. And again, what you're getting with that is a high nutrient dense diet. And they're saying now that for all of the identified vitamins and minerals, so all the ones we know about, A, B, C, D, E, all of those, the ones that we know, there's also so many that are unknown. And they're saying now that in vegetables, there's hundreds of unidentified nutrients. So when you compare that to a low nutrient dense diet with a lot of processed foods, like it's immeasurable health benefits. So eating the rainbow, again, different color fruits have different ingredients in them, and they all have powerful antioxidants, and that protects the skin from cellular damage. You might have heard like free radicals and different things that cause the skin damage, and this protects the skin. So want to eat enough vitamin C. Vitamin C is a super antioxidant. You've mentioned that as well, Rachel, putting it on the skin, but also eating it from within. And again, you think of the layers of skin, the outside and the inside. And vitamin C also supports the immune, as we know, and promotes radiant skin. And it helps with healing. So if you get a little mark or something on your skin, it helps it heal properly. So some best sources for that would be the likes of kind of berries, blueberries, blackcurrants, strawberries. You've got broccoli, is very good for vitamin C. Kiwis, oranges, kind of a known one, the citrus fruits, and sweet potatoes are very good in vitamin C. And it's also needed to produce collagen, as you mentioned, Rachel. The collagen is so important for the skin and the skin quality and condition. And vitamin C is one of the ingredients that helps with the production of that. And it strengthens the capillaries, or the small blood vessels that supply the skin with the nutrients they need. The next tip that they recommend for skin is to avoid crash dieting. So any kind of bad diets or anything that causes like weight loss and gain and loss, it's just the skin shape is kind of being reformed all the time. So if you are looking to lose weight, to do it gradually and sustainably in a healthy way and give your skin a chance to adapt to that. And the other thing they say is, you know, those crash diets and things, they're often nutrient deficient. So again, it's not just the skin shape and everything, it's about the nutrients that are constantly being fed in, and we have to drip feed in them regularly. So a healthy, balanced diet is key, and a good food plan. So I'm going to mention a couple of specific ones. So that's vitamin C. Selenium is a powerful antioxidant for the skin, and it works with vitamins E and C. So again, you want a mixture of things. You don't just want to focus on one vitamin or mineral. You want to have the nice harmony and the balance, and they work together. So selenium is essential again for the immune system and also helps protect the skin. And one of the main foods that has selenium is Brazil nuts. So once there's no nut allergies, Brazil nuts are a brilliant option for that. And they say four Brazil nuts has enough selenium for their recommended daily amount. So that's pretty feasible in terms of daily intake. Other good sources: fish, eggs, tomatoes, broccoli. So again, what you're seeing here is when you're eating a generally healthy diet with a variety of colors of fruit and veg, you're pretty much capturing all of these different things. Vitamin E, again, is another powerful antioxidant, and it protects the skin from any damage and also helps new skin growth. So you're looking at foods like almonds, avocado, hazelnuts, pine nuts. I'm going to be talking about healthy fats in a moment, but I just want to note there, I noticed I am prone to dry skin, and avocado is one thing that has really helped clear that, essentially. And I noticed when my skin is getting dry, I'd eat a bit more avocado, and it actually does, it's like a natural moisturizer, and it's good fats. Hydration, we mentioned this in another health talk in more depth, but I'll just note it here again. You know, when you think of the skin, it's full of cells, and the cells are full of water, and we need that water to keep the shape of the skin. So 6 to 8 glasses a day. I know some people that's no problem, some people that's ambitious, so just try and gradually build up to that. And again, it's about moisturizing it from within. Your skin needs the water in the cells to actually be flexible and to work as efficiently as it can. So they say even mild dehydration, the dryness, and also it can make your skin look kind of gray and tired as well. So actually, when people are well hydrated, it affects their complexion as well. And water is obviously the best fluid. I know a lot of people drink teas and coffees, myself included, but that can be dehydrating, so just to be mindful of that. And as I mentioned in another health talk, including vegetables with a high water content, such as cucumber, courgette, all of those, that helps with the fluid intake as well. So that's just a nice one there. The other things, lifestyle, you know, avoiding smoking and excess alcohol. Obviously, they both age the skin. So again, just to be mindful of that. Healthy fats. So the types that you get in oily fish, that type of thing, avocado, nuts and seeds are brilliant. And these are essential fatty acids. They're like a natural moisturizer. And they're essential fatty acids, which means that we need to take them in from outside. From the body doesn't make all of them, so we have to take them in from our diet. So the oils keep the skin supple and improve elasticity even. And also in those fats, they often have a lot of vitamin E. So again, when you're eating the right foods, you'll get a mixture of the different elements. And omega-3s are brilliant. They say now that typical diets have a lot of omega-6, and you want a nice omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. So most people just need the omega-3 top up, because we're getting a lot of omega-6 from the diet, from oils and different things. And the omega-3 is naturally anti-inflammatory, so they're saying that it can also benefit some skin conditions like eczema or psoriasis quality because of that bit of anti-inflammatory protection. Low GI carbs are good, low glycemic index, these slow release carbohydrates. And again, it's about balancing the blood sugars, because when we balance the blood sugars, the insulin is protected and it works more efficiently, and it's not overloaded. And that actually affects the skin quality. So again, a lot of what you're hearing here is these are good health tips in general, plus they're benefiting the skin. So when you're really eating for health reasons, it benefits everything. Another one, the last one I want to mention is zinc, another good mineral for, that's actually good for the functioning of the sebaceous glands, the glands that produce the healthy oils Rachel was mentioning in your skin that act on the outside to moisturize it. And zinc also helps with repairing skin damage. So you're looking at fish again, whole grains, nuts and seeds. So nuts and seeds are very good. They've just a variety of different minerals. So as you're making slight changes to your diet and tweaking, I know sometimes people start eating well and they're like, why is my skin not perfect? Like it takes 6 weeks for your skin to fully regenerate and for the new skin cells to come up to the surface. So it takes a little bit of time when you make dietary changes. You'll see some of them as you go, but some of them will take a few weeks to actually be visible on the outside, but just know that they're being, that they're visible within. So it's worth your while. So those are some notes on foods and treating skin from the inside out. So next, Rachel, you're going to talk about rashes and dry skin.
Yes, thank you, Megan. So some great tips there about food, actually, that I'm going to think about myself. So rashes and dry skin, I would say as a community pharmacist, the most common thing that we're asked to look at is a rash. Would you say so, Megan?
Oh, yes, every kind of a rash you could imagine, yeah.
More so, I suppose, with children, you get a lot of questions. Can you please look at my child's rash? And people get very anxious about them. And a lot of the time, there's nothing to be anxious about with rashes. And now with COVID and everything, what I'm seeing more and more are pictures of the rashes. And generally, a picture or even looking at a rash will not tell us what is causing the rash. When somebody comes in with a rash, I will need to ask so many questions to try and figure out what is causing this rash. And until we kind of at least have some idea of what might be causing it, we can't really treat it properly. So that is what usually happens when somebody presents with any kind of a rash. We ask a lot of questions. Rashes can come with a lot of viruses and infections, especially in children. So things like slapped cheek syndrome. Today, I actually saw something that was definitely scarlet's fever. I think a child with scarlet's fever and measles. They're actually a lot more common than you think. And usually with those children with those kind of things, they'll have other symptoms as well as whatever rash it is. So things like high temperature, crying, irritability, lack of appetite, that kind of thing. And sometimes we'll have to refer to the child to a doctor, sometimes we don't. And naturally, treatment will depend on the diagnosis. And to be honest, we need a whole other talk to go through all the different childhood illnesses. There's a lot of info and detail that goes with that. But the most important point that I'd like to make today is that if a child, or an adult for that matter, has a rash, and if the cause of the rash isn't clear, and if there are other symptoms there like high temperature, which is over 37.5 degrees, headache, a stomach ache, get advice from a pharmacist, a doctor, a nurse, some kind of a healthcare professional. And especially if there's any I suppose inkling that it might be meningitis, definitely make sure you just go to see a doctor straight away. So for meningitis, you're looking for a rash that doesn't go away when you put a glass to it. So you get a glass, you push it against the rash, and then when you take the glass off, it hasn't disappeared at all. Then you want to definitely get that checked out. And often there are other symptoms there with meningitis, so things like high temperature, muscle pains, confusion, dehydration, and that kind of thing. So just to always be aware of that. It's very rare, but it's so serious that we like to always make sure that everybody's very conscious of it and is very au fait with diagnosing it. So that's viral infections. You can also get a rash with fungal infections, which are very easy to treat. So things like ringworm. With ringworm, those rashes are generally circular and they're more red on the outside. So there's kind of quite a defined outline. It's red, and then inside it's not quite so red. They can be quite itchy, the ringworm rashes. And it can be really on any part of the body. You can get ringworm from other people. You can also get it from animals. Very easy to treat. You use an antifungal cream, Dactarin. You rub it in well, and you rub it in on the rash and 2 centimeters outside of the rash. And you keep using it that way twice a day until the rash is gone, and then for 7 days after, just to make sure that you've completely zapped that fungal infection. And you can also use Dactarin cream for sweat rash. So Sweat rash is usually caused by a yeast or a fungus of sorts, and you see these rashes in places on our body that can get quite warm. So places like our neck, places like under the breast is actually quite common. Whereas under the arms as well can get very warm. So that is where you would use the Dactara in that instance. Another thing that causes rash is allergy. So we have actually done a full health talk on allergies, if anybody wants a lot of info on that. But with allergies, again, the most important thing is to find out the cause of the allergy. So is it food? Is it clothes? Is it perfume? Is it the washing powder, so that you can remove the allergen? And these rashes do tend to be very itchy. So you can apply a cooling cream like calamine lotion, and you can take antihistamines if you need to as well. Now I'm going to finish off talking about skin conditions like eczema and psoriasis. So these are dry skin conditions, and these rashes are very itchy, red and scaly. With psoriasis, it's a bit more serious than eczema. The skin tends to be a lot thicker and really inflamed, and there tends to be kind of like a silvery look to the rashes that are caused by psoriasis. You can see eczema and psoriasis rashes on any part of the body, but especially in the lines and in the creases. So places like the knees and the elbows, really the trunks are quite prone to eczema and psoriasis. So that's the arms and the legs. So eczema is very common in children, especially between 2 and 4 years old. And usually, not always, but usually it improves as they get older, although sometimes flare-ups can come back. So they'll have, periods where they're fine and then periods where they're not fine. And stress is a huge thing actually that might cause flare-ups to come about. In psoriasis, it can start at any age, but it's especially common in young people, so young adults between 20 and 30, and then again between 50 and 60. And like eczema, you have periods where it's under control and periods where you have flare-ups. So how do we treat dry skin conditions? Well, it's really important to avoid certain things with dry skin. So obviously chemicals, so too much heat, any cream that's scented or perfumed. Also make sure to use a good washing powder. So the non-bio, which is good for sensitive skin. And it's also good to keep a little diary and make a note of what might have caused flare-up. So like I said, maybe too much sun, too much heat, or maybe certain foods even sometimes find, especially children, sugar can tend to bring about eczema attacks. So the most important thing when treating, and not only, I was talking at the beginning about preventing skin conditions, so using a moisturizer often is a really good way, obviously, to prevent skin getting too dry and too damaged. But then when you're treating eczema or psoriasis, you kind of have to nearly kind of up your game when it comes to the moisturizing. So you need to use it often, and that's the key with moisturizing. You can't lather loads of it on, it doesn't really work, it won't be all absorbed, but you have to use it like often. And people think often and they say okay, morning and night, but you need to nearly be using it 3-4 times a day if you can, when it's really, really bad, to get the moisture back into the skin so that it can heal properly. So when it's not too bad, you can start with a kind of simple moisturizer. So things like Silcox Base is very good. Aveeno is very good, emulsifying ointment, and they're quite basic. But if that's not working, you will need to up it to a moisturizer with more moisture content, so you can get more moisture into the skin. And they would say the greasier the better. So an ointment then is better than a cream. Even though the ointments can be a little bit messier, it takes a little bit long to dry in, they are better for the skin, especially for dry skin. So you're looking at Hydromol ointment is really good. You can get that over the counter. Epiderm ointment is excellent as well. Those kind of things. You can also use those things like Silcox Base or emulsifying ointment as a shower cream. That's really good. Actually, we're very fortunate in Tullamore. One of our locals went off to do dermatology she's a really good dermatologist, and she's after coming back to Tullamore to practice. So we get a lot of our patients coming in, and she'll always write in the prescription to use the emulsifying ointment or the Silcox Base as their shower cream and their moisturizer, and they're just lathering this stuff on all day, every day, and it really, really, really helps their skin over time. So you can use those as a shower cream, and you can also, for children as well, oil atom is quite good. You can use that as a bath additive, or you can use the Silcox Base and the emulsifying ointment as a bath additive as well. If the moisturizer isn't enough for the eczema or the psoriasis to keep it under control, then we have to go to a steroid. And steroids come in different strengths. So we can give steroids over the counter as pharmacists for people over 12. I would only like to recommend steroid for little bits that are kind of insignificant, but for like anybody that has any significant amounts of eczema and psoriasis, especially if it's only starting, I would definitely recommend them go to the doctor, go through it, get a proper diagnosis, get a proper treatment plan, get a cream and a strength that is appropriate for that person, because they can come in lots of different strengths, and go from there. So it is very important though, if you are prescribed a steroid, you can't just use the steroid. Definitely use the moisturizer still as often as you can. Let the moisturizer dry in, and then you use the steroid only on the damaged, rashy skin. You don't put the steroid on healthy skin, because what steroid does is it thins the skin, and you don't want to start thinning healthy skin. So that's just an important point. So a lot of the patients that we have with psoriasis or eczema, what they'll do is, so when their skin is healthy, they'll just use one of the simple moisturizers like the Silcox base or the emulsifying ointment. But then when they see the flare-up starting, they'll go to the greasier, better moisturizers, which are a bit more expensive, and they'll invest in that, and then they'll start using their little steroid cream as well. And a lot of time what they'll do is if like say the prescription that I saw today, there was a flare-up going on, so the consultant recommended kind of a steroid to use it once a day and then gradually to decrease it down, which is quite a nice way to do it, so that your skin can kind of gradually get, I suppose, desensitized to the steroid. So that is the most common treatment plan, is a moisturizer and a steroid. There are other options there. Coal tar has been used for years. It's a really, really old kind of a traditional treatment for dry skin, and it is very effective. You can buy it as a bath additive, or you can buy it as a cream over the counter. Actually, the brand is Soriderm, P-S-O-R-I-D-E-R-M. Or sometimes, we don't really like seeing them coming in because it's so messy, but sometimes the doctor will prescribe a coal tar cream and we'll do it up for the patient. But much as I don't like doing it, I do know people have found it really, really beneficial. Some people don't like it because it's very messy. It can leave a stain on your clothes. There's quite a strong smell to it. But if you're looking for another option, if you're maybe trying to not go to the steroids all the time, it's definitely worth a try. You can also get vitamin D cream, so Dovanex. For people over 6, we can actually sell Dovanex cream to adults over the counter without a prescription, provided they have a diagnosis of eczema or psoriasis from the doctor before. And we do have to have a consultation with the patient to just make sure that it is a suitable cream for them. So that's another option, the Dovanex, the vitamin D. And then you can, if people have, particularly with psoriasis, if it's very, very bad and there's a real immune inflammatory kind of a thing going on, you can get more serious medication, more stronger medications like immunosuppressants, but that would definitely be a conversation that you would have to have with your doctor, or probably even a skin specialist. So that's everything that I have to say now about dry skin conditions. Now I think Megan is going to sing us off with some info about moles.
Thanks, Rachel. And yeah, you've covered like a huge amount of topics there. And there is so much. The skin is a big organ, and there's so much that can go on with it. So it's just about, like you said, first of all, diagnosing and knowing what's going on, and then having a plan. So yeah, so we'll talk just a little bit briefly on moles to finish for today. And so moles, they're a common type of skin growth, appearing as small, dark brown spots. And what they really are is they're a cluster of pigmented cells. So cells with a lot of color, that's what they are. They're just a cluster of them together. And everybody has moles. They say most people have between 10 and 40. Some people have more, some people have less. And they can change over time. Some of the appearance can change, some can fade, some can appear, you know, they often appear in adolescence or childhood, but some can appear as adults, and they can develop really anywhere on the body. So most moles are harmless, but there is that fine line of some that can become dangerous or even cancerous. So really, monitoring moles is it's an important, and other pigmented patches on your skin. People have different kind of skin pigmented pieces. Keeping an eye on those is really one of the ways of preventing and detecting skin cancer early on. So it's just about that level of awareness. So unusual moles are usually ones that can indicate something more serious. And if you have a mole that's bothering you, or you think it's unusual in some way and you're worried about it, do link in with your doctor and just get it checked out. And they might ask you to monitor it then. So I'm going to go through a quick, it's called an ABCDE guide And this helps people determine if the mole is just a standard one or if it's moving into a more kind of dangerous phase, or if it could be a problem. So A, B, C, D, E. So I'll just go down through the list here. So we've got A for asymmetrical shape, which means that one half isn't like the other half. So if you look at a proper circle, it's perfect, but this is where one half might be a different shape to the other half. So that's the first one, A, asymmetrical. B is for the border. So the border itself is irregular, notched, or scalloped. So it's not a perfect shape. It's all a bit jagged or a bit unusual. C is for color, particularly growths that have changed color or have lots of different colors within the one. So that's something to be mindful of. Any kind of uneven color. D is for diameter. So if the diameter is increasing or there's new growth in a mole, if it's getting bigger, that's something to be mindful of. E then is evolving. So any moles basically that change in size, shape, color, or height. Those are all the things. So any new growth. And again, you know, if you have a few that you're keeping an eye on, you'll notice it if you're watching them regularly. And the other two things that are very, so I'll just go back down. So A for asymmetrical, B for border, irregularity, C is for color changes, D is for diameter, any new growth, and E is for evolving. So any changes in size, shape, color, or height. And the main things to watch out for and to be vigilant for is especially if a part of a mole or the whole mole turns black, particularly when I'm talking about color changes, or if it evolves and you get new symptoms. I've heard a few people where they become problems where they often become very itchy or irritating. They're very noticeable, and they might be bothering people, and that's itching or bleeding. Those are two kind of maybe more warning signs and symptoms of a mole that might need to be looked at. Really, that's it. And again, it's not about being alarmed, but it's about just being vigilant and careful. And if you're noticing there's something unusual going on, just get it checked out. And like, there's so many variations in moles in general, even healthy ones. So it's like there's a whole myriad of different things going on. So just to those are the kind of main things to watch out for. And like I said, if it feels unusual or it looks unusual or it's changing, just book in and get looked at. So those are some notes on moles. So that's pretty much all of our topics for today. So we have a good skincare routine, healthy eating, skin rashes, again, very common, and a piece on moles. And like you said earlier, Rachel, the skin is the first line of defense. So it's defending us from all, when you think about everything in the environment, the bacteria, viruses, pollution, everything. And it's worthwhile looking after. It's protecting us, and it is an organ. So we need to mind it from the inside with the food and from the outside with the right creams and the right protectant, SPF and everything like that. So those are some pieces on skin from us for today. And again, all of these health talks contribute to general healthcare and me looking after the human body in general. So I hope everybody got some nice ideas that they can implement.
Thank you very much.